Hello, and thanks for taking a few minutes to learn about the three core principles of sales process engineering. Sales process engineering is of interest to sales executives, managers, and professionals for a very simple reason. When well executed, it can generate an 8 to 12% annual incremental increase in effective sales capacity year after year after year. It uses an analytical approach to drive the rapid identification of sales best practices, those activities most highly correlated to selling more and selling faster, and it provides a set of tools to enable continuous improvement in the execution of those best practices by every member of the sales organization. It's disciplined, it's difficult, and it's relentlessly effective at producing sales growth. To get started with implementing sales process engineering, an understanding of its three core principles is essential. Here's core principle number 1. The relentless pursuit of sales excellence, continuous improvement, is a fundamental necessity. I have yet to find a single sales rep, manager, or executive who does not immediately accept and wholeheartedly commit to this idea. It's so obviously true that it almost goes without saying. Almost. There's a catch. By accepting core principle number 1, you have also already committed yourself to core principles number 2 and 3. What's your answer to this question? Picture yourself in front of a group, your entire sales team, for example, and imagine asking a slightly different version of it. Imagine asking for everyone in the room who is below average to please raise their hand. I've done it, and it's amazing how few hands go up. Nobody wants to acknowledge being below average. The fact of the matter is, virtually all of us in sales truly believe that we really are above average. A few years back, we did a survey of over 400 sales managers, and one of the questions addressed this above or below average issue. Here's the result. Notice anything strange about the statistic? 83% are above average? Obviously, that can't be right. Mathematically, in any group, no matter how large or small it is, half the people are below average. Half. Period. End of discussion. There's no debate. So you need to ask a few follow-up questions. How do you know that you're above average? How can you be so sure that you really are better? What proof do you have? How can you back up your claim? Here are a few more questions. Are you better than your key competitors? Does your industry association rank your sales team among the top 10% in your industry? By what percent are you improving the quality of execution of each of your most critical sales activities? What are your most critical sales activities? How does good execution of them correlate with revenue and profit? Do you really have any valid means to answer any of these questions? Think about it, especially that third question. If you can't answer it, and by the way, you can't unless you have hard data for every single rep in your organization, then you simply don't know. You're kidding yourself about your commitment to continuous improvement, and frankly, you're blowing smoke at me. Let's take a quick look at a different profession. There's no doubt at all about who the best golfer in the world is. The numbers prove the point. But there's a lot more to the story. Tiger Woods didn't get to the top of the heap, and more importantly, he doesn't stay at the top of the heap by looking only at results. He's focused on the many individual components of his game. At least 50. That's how many he has on his website anyway, and I'd guess it's a whole lot more than that. He knows that he has to continuously keep improving all aspects of his performance, because that's what each and every one of his competitors is doing. Do you think Tiger Woods is focused on driving accuracy? Do you think he's satisfied with his performance that stacks up behind 187 other golfers? Or how about those longer than 200-yard approach shots? Can he keep his number 1 overall ranking when he's only 75th best? This process metrics concept is so critical that a second analogy is warranted. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, so I'll ask you to picture yourself as Bobby Cox, their manager. Let's say the Braves are in a slump on a losing streak. You, as manager, call a team meeting and inform the players that you've identified why the team is having a rough time. You've examined the metrics and nailed down the cause of the team's poor performance. You tell them they need to do 2 things: score more runs and keep the other team from scoring so often. Gee, thanks, coach. That's a big help. Thinking in terms of baseball, it's absurd, really ridiculous. to think about improving by looking only at results metrics of runs scored and runs allowed. But how many sales professionals fall into the same trap? The trap of looking only at revenue and profit. How much good is there in a sales manager that says, "I figured out why your performance is weak. You need to sell more at a higher margin"? Whether it's golf or baseball or sales, it's continuous improvement in each and every aspect of the process that generates better results. And I need to measure each and every key aspect of the process in order to know how much and how quickly I'm actually improving. I don't want to get overly repetitive, but it's critical to remember that improving the sales process, including all of the sales best practices that make it up, is what ultimately produces constantly improving results. So how many metrics is enough? It's clear now that relying on only two, sales and profit, just won't cut it. Yes, those two are the bottom line, the only things that really matter at the end of the day. But they're simply not all that helpful in terms of improving performance. So again, how many metrics is enough to judge sales performance? The answer is a few more than you're using now. If you have 2 metrics today, start using 4. If you have 4, use 10. If you have 20, use 50. Keep adding metrics until the administrative burden of collecting and analyzing them outweighs the value of the insight they provide. And then get a better CRM system that enables you to keep adding metrics. Tiger Woods and the rest of the professional golfers in the world are serious about success. They use well over 100 process metrics. The folks in baseball uniforms are serious too. They use over 1,000 process metrics. Your business and the sale and application of your products and services is a far more complicated affair than either of those two games, and can therefore be measured more thoroughly. As a professional salesperson, how serious are you about success? How many metrics are you using? How many should you be using? So that's core principle number 2. Objective process metrics, lots of objective process metrics, are required to judge the quality, the quantity, and the pace of improvement of your selling efforts. Without them, you're just blowing smoke about your commitment to continuous improvement. Now for core principle number 3. Grab a pen and paper. What I'd like you to do is write down 2 or 3 of the metrics you would use to judge the quality of performance of your wicket keeper. That's right, your wicket keeper. Most of you have absolutely no idea what to write down. You're probably wondering what on earth a wicket keeper is, and that's the point. Since you know nothing about the wicket keeping process, there's no possible way you can come up with even a single metric that has any relevance. The wicket keeper, by the way, is the guy on the left. For $7.95, you can buy the book on the left from Amazon.com. Does your company have a version of the book depicted on the right? Does every rep and manager know the best practices for selling your products and services? Do they know the best sales process? Do they all use the same language, the same terminology when discussing these things? Is it all written down somewhere? If it's not, then you don't really have a process. And that leads us to core principle number 3. A well-defined sales process is a prerequisite for determining meaningful metrics. It's also probably clear that the core principles get implemented in reverse order. First define the process, then decide on the most appropriate and meaningful metrics. Armed with those 2 things, continuous improvement and genuine pursuit of sales excellence becomes possible. Conceptually, sales process engineering is quite simple. It all boils down to these 3 core principles. Actually implementing it, though, is another matter. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of dedication, and a lot of time. The YPS Group believes that a Sales Excellence Council is the best vehicle to apply these principles, and we'd be delighted to share the details of how to get one started. Feel free to explore our website at ypsgroup.com or give us a call at 770-514-1189. In the meantime, good luck and good selling.